Hey you, it's True with an update to the Evertale Arena tier list based on 1000 teams from around the world. We have some pretty big moves up and down this time, but let's cover the new entries first. Hokusai is a bit of a wildcard unit, reminiscent of Percival. She comes with all kinds of elemental effects on all of her attacks, the most powerful of which is probably Painfall, which attacks all enemies. Apparently also ignoring stealth, which isn't mentioned in her skill set, so that is an additional plus. However, her setup isn't the fastest and sometimes she doesn't get to do much. If she unlocks her masterpiece, which is that extremely strong execute skill, then she's very sick, although that takes a while. Though maybe the new guard that was just released can help her with that. For now, Hokusai goes to S tier, although definitely closer to SS tier than A tier for me. What's also fun about her is if she sleeps an entire burn team, for example. But speaking of a new guard, we have to cover new Anya, of course. This unit comes with the highest HP in the entire game, and that by far. But she definitely needs them as well, because otherwise her survivability takes a hit. Speaking of hits, she needs to be chunky enough to take 2 of them at a time ideally. Otherwise her survivability is greatly diminished. But if she survives, she can absolutely disable an enemy team, literally, because she disables active skills, which is a strong new type of stun, I suppose. I could imagine that we see more of that on new Storm units in the future, given that regular stuns are having an increasingly hard time in the meta. Other than that, new Anya is mostly just there to support your team. Some very nice stuff with recovery mist and barriers, wards, purifications, all that good stuff. Yes, she suffers a bit from not having armor herself, but that can be substituted by teammates potentially. To me right now she's pretty much at the border between SS and SSS tier. However, I am gonna give her the SSS tier for now. Some of the responses to her and some people calling her rather weak and not good enough remind me a little bit of the responses when Light Anya was released 2 years ago. But I do have to caution you, other than many other SSS tier characters, Storm Anya 2.0 definitely needs a full awakening in my eyes. She needs a lot of resources. That means level 200, above 60% potential, above 200 boosts, full defense mastery. Otherwise, she will likely die more easily than somebody like Light Anya. Plus, there is still a bit of a vulnerability to stun not just her, but her team, which Light Anya takes care of a bit better, given that she's a stun absorber. A combination of Light Anya and this new Anya in the same starting lineup, a kind of a double guard build, is something interesting, I guess, because new Anya also seems to have pretty high hate, higher hate than Light Anya, which means that Light Anya could absorb all the stun, new Anya could hopefully tank all the shots, and the other 2 units on that team would hopefully take care of the enemies as DPSs. But yeah, keep in mind that this is a very preliminary rating for this Anya. We will have a better view in the May tier list. But now let's go to the promised tier changes. First we have some demotions. Storm Rolosha, the original one, goes from E to F tier. It was only a matter of time at this point. The stun entry has been keeping her relevant for quite a long time, but stun immunities and stun wards are just too common at this point. Then we also have the original Dark Gene go down from E to F tier. Her revenge doesn't get ignored as often anymore, given that stealth attacks are not really the primary focus right now. Nevertheless, her biggest feature at this point is probably the Dark Michaela entry. Also going down is the original Storm Lancelot. We have a lot of originals going down here. She is going to the E tier now. Back in the day when she was released, she pushed the Evertale power creep into higher gear with her deadly momentum. But the same momentum got quickly outpaced by newer units. Her survivability is just massively lacking at this point. The same is true to a degree for a guard in Earth Anya, which is of course a problem if you are supposed to guard a team. No hold ground, no endure, nothing, just some poisonous armor. That is just not enough in the current meta, especially given the burn surge we are seeing right now, which I'm gonna cover in a bit. But first, in between, some positive news for Momoka, which might also be related. This water unit rises slightly to the E tier. Her emergency guard and support mechanic is still something that can be helpful sometimes. Okay, I just realized we really have some original downgrading going on today, because the original Dark King Arthur is also going down from C to D tier. Just not enough on his skill set anymore. On her skill set. Did I say on his skill set? Apologies. She always struggled coming in from reinforcements, always been meant as a Dawn unit, but there's really just no space anymore to have her as a starter. Too many better units are around now. Some good news for R and Genie. She goes to the C tier. A slight upgrade here for this entirely RNG based unit. Problem with her is that I think she's only good if she is super highly leveled and if you also have very high fellowships. So if you are a whale, then she can become very hard to kill. Yeah, other than that, not much to say about her at this point. Odin is going down and joining Genie in the C tier. Her Raven mechanic has been massively nerfed ever since Cthulhu was released, and Satan's mass dismissal probably doesn't help his or her case either. I just realized that both Dark Genes are actually going down in this edition. However, this Angel Gene is going from A to B tier, so still more relevant, but all the execute skills that are getting more and more prevalent are of course having an impact on her. The kind of pushback mechanic doesn't work if she gets straight up killed. Still nice and probably relevant for a much longer time, given that she can be a good finisher and that she can gain relevancy as soon as there's a strong stealth unit release. Another dark unit going down is Cleopatra. Her main problem at this point is her survivability. If she gets to pull off her Dusk Mirage, that's still pretty nice. But yeah, the execute skills are also taking a toll on her. And with that, we are coming to the big burn surge that I was promising. While Lucifer laid the groundwork at her release in December, Satan and Shenlong apparently pushed the burn meta over the edge in a positive way. What does that mean for burn units? We see the original guard, the original burn guard, Bright Astrid, rise from C to B tier. We also see the slightly disappointing Fire Kaguya go from B to A tier. The same is true for Gilgamesh. All of these mentioned units are no longer top 5 burn units though. There are much higher or better options higher up. Mordred goes to the S tier. Lebu goes to the S tier. Shenlong goes to the S tier. And it doesn't even end there, because from the S tier we have the super strong burn guard Cerberus go to the SS tier. A burn essential is also Satan, who joins her there. And the absolute burn core also being used in some hybrid teams is Lucifer, with that ally ignition on every turn is just a very, very strong counter to any kind of cursed sleep shenanigans. Or even normal sleep shenanigans, to be honest. So yeah, now this hellish burn trio in Lucifer, Satan and Cerberus is right there at the top. It has been, I think, a pretty long time since we have seen so many burn units in such high tiers. It's not quite enough to break into the SSS tier. This has been historically difficult for burn given the specificity of a team build. And regionally, looking at Japan, burn is still not quite dominating. If I was just looking at the other regions in Europe, in the rest of Asia, in the Americas, then Lucifer probably would already be in the SSS tier. Okay, but with so many units moving up, of course, they have to push down some other units, given that we have some hard requirements for units to be in such high tiers. We don't want to have some crazy tier inflation like we see in many other tier lists. And so we see Storm Snow White going down, though I could see a world where she also benefits from the new Anya release. Then we also see Dark Sun Wukong, who is still sometimes a menace if she is combined with Unicorn, but she is also struggling with all that kind of purification going on. She oftentimes doesn't get to hit repeatedly because of all the poison wards, of all the mega healing burn. Stuff like that is definitely something she struggles with, but she can still be a game winner for you in an arena battle later on to turn things around. Earth Cleopatra is unsurprisingly struggling with the burn rise. Other than that, she is quite a strong unit, but also not as strong as some other Cursed Sleep units like Earth Sun Wukong and Earth Gawain. And given that she is often relegated to later platoons at this point, having a full Earth team in front is just, or would just be, a liability at this point. A new unit going down is actually Da Vinci. She is also going to the S tier from the SS tier, though she can pop off, especially if the RNG hits just right. Remember, she can get repeated turns all the time with her setup, and she also brings a very nice execute skill that is kind of passively executing a non-conjured teammate of an enemy that goes down to her cosmic cannon. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised by her true power results myself, but the data is what it is. Probably some stun vulnerability having a part in this, and just her general difficulty to get going really crazy. Just as Earth Anya, the other Earth Guard, Yukata Ludmilla, is also going down. Yes, she's still very relevant and used in a lot of top arena teams, but not so much in the front anymore. Given that we see this enormous burn surge, it makes sense. Her big kink in the armor has always been burn. It hasn't been such a big problem when burn was just under-delivering. But at this point, it is relatively clear that Light Anya is still the superior guard to her, given her value in facing burn stun teams. And then finally we get to the SSS tier. We have the new Anya already there, and possibly also related to the burn surge, we also see Avatar Ludmilla rise to get an SSS tier rating. Also relatively tight, pretty close to the SS tier, but still well deserved, I think. Her biggest struggle is probably that she just needs to be run without any guards around her, but sometimes she can give burn teams a run for their money, absorbing all that kind of stun, providing some armor for her team, or more specifically a barrier, which is still quite nice against burn teams who are struggling with that kind of damage reduction effects. On the other hand, her active skills are not all that spectacular. On third and second place we have Dark Lancelot and Dark Cthulhu. Both these dark units are struggling a little bit more nowadays. Dark Lancelot because of the poison and stun immunities that are on the rise. Cthulhu due to the rise of even more instant kills, I suppose, and the big hits she is often exposed to. The good thing is, if she doesn't straight up get executed, she becomes a very strong guard, arguably still the strongest guard in the game with all the hypnosis effects and the 90% damage reduction and full heal whenever she hits 1 HP. Very hard to kill her in that state, and as such I think she still has some relevancy ahead of her, even though she lost that number 1 spot to Kojiro. This light unit with the clean strike and the Sakura Storm can just be a rapid killing machine once she gets the first, the second kill. Similar to what we've seen with the Light Cinderella in the old days, she can also be run in some burn teams, and having the armor, getting the counter after each damage taken is just a very nice survivability mechanic for her. A very deserved number 1 right now, although the disabling mechanic of the new Anya might be something that she struggles a little bit with. That's it for now. Here you can see the new Evertale Arena tier list from April 2025. I tried to keep this short and make it quick and failed, I think, yet again, but I hope you enjoyed the analysis and the tiering, as always based on data from 1000 top Champions Arena teams in Japan, in rest of Asia, in Europe and in the Americas. Putting this tier list and this video together as objectively as possible takes quite a lot of time, so I would very much appreciate if you take a second to like this video. Stay tuned for more premium Evertale content on this channel by subscribing and becoming a true carrot. Good luck on your top tier summons, and as always, thanks for watching.